Okay, let's dive right into this explainer and address that familiar, sinking feeling I think every professor knows all too well. Picture this. You're sitting at your desk, it's late, you're fueled by totally lukewarm coffee, you're grading final exams, and you suddenly realize a student has just completely missed the mark. But the semester's over. It's incredibly frustrating, right? Well, today we are exploring a really powerful, proactive solution to this exact educational problem: formative tests.
To tackle this, we're going to follow a pretty clear roadmap today. First, we'll look at what formative tests actually are. Then, we'll pit formative versus summative assessments. After that, we'll talk about closing learning gaps, move into designing effective tests, and finally, look at powering all of this with Qorrect.
All right, kicking things off with Section 1, what are formative tests and how do they drive continuous improvement?
Imagine for a second, what if learning was actually measured step by step? I really want you to think about this scenario because it completely shifts our mindset away from punitive grading and moves us toward ongoing guidance. Instead of asking students to make this giant, terrifying leap across a canyon on the last day of class, what if you were building a bridge for them, plank by plank, making absolutely sure every single step is secure before they take the next one? Honestly, that is the beating heart of formative assessment.
So, by definition, a formative test is an assessment tool designed to monitor student learning and provide continuous feedback. The absolute keyword here is during. You aren't doing this to put some harsh letter grade in a final ledger. You're doing it to identify gaps and track their progress in real time. I mean, if your entire class misunderstands a core concept on a Tuesday, you can easily just reteach it on Wednesday. That is so much better than finding out everyone failed it during finals week.
And listen, this doesn't have to mean exhausting formal exams every single day. Nobody wants that. Common formative tests can just be quick quizzes, interactive classroom discussions, simple little polls, regular assignments, or even just structured classroom observations. These are low-stakes check-ins, and they empower educators to gather instant data informally. They light up those weak points long before the high-stakes evaluations ever roll around.
Moving right along to Section 2, this is the direct showdown: formative versus summative assessments.
Let's go ahead and draw the battle lines here. Formative assessment happens during learning, providing continuous feedback where the entire focus is just on improvement. Summative assessment, on the other hand, happens at the very end of the term. It focuses strictly on final grades with literally zero opportunity to change anything. Think of formative tests like a real-time GPS in your car. If a student takes a wrong turn, you immediately recalculate the route. A summative assessment acts more like a final autopsy of the semester. It tells you exactly what went wrong, but, well, by then it's far too late to actually help the patient.
Which brings us to Section 3, closing those learning gaps and, crucially, how to intervene early.
Intervening when a student hits a roadblock is really a precise 5-step journey. First, you've got to provide immediate feedback so the student knows exactly where they stand right then and there. Second, use targeted questioning to isolate the exact misunderstanding. Third, track their progress efficiently over time, so if there's a sudden dip, it triggers an automatic alert for you. Fourth, analyze those data-driven insights. And finally, Step 5, deploy customized learning courses to get that student right back on track before moving on to the next complex topic.
Okay, so how do we actually build these? That's Section 4, designing effective tests with actionable strategies.
To really make these tests work, you need a rapid-fire checklist for success. First things first, define crystal-clear learning objectives. Next, mix up your question types. Please don't just rely on standard multiple choice. You've got to keep their brains engaged. And most importantly, focus on true conceptual understanding, not just rote memorization. You also need to provide instant, constructive feedback. Leverage modern technology for flexibility. Actually analyze the results to adjust your own teaching style, and always encourage self-assessment.
Finally, we hit Section 5. Powering all of this with Qorrect to make these assessments truly scalable.
Because, let's be real, doing this manually for hundreds of students? Yeah, that's completely overwhelming. But the Qorrect platform takes these advanced features and translates them into massive, real-world time savers. An AI-supported question bank means incredibly easy storage and categorization for you. Automated grading? That equals instant student feedback, and it totally saves your weekends. Real-time analytics let you spot learning gaps instantly, while top-tier anti-cheating security maintains academic integrity. It literally frees you up to focus on the whole reason you're there, actually teaching and connecting with your students.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want you to consider this really powerful takeaway from our sources. With Qorrect, universities can confidently move towards smarter, data-driven education. Formative testing isn't just some passing educational trend, it's a fundamental shift in how we actively support learners. So, look at your own curriculum today and ask yourself, how are you going to upgrade your assessment strategies to ensure your students are guided step by step rather than just being judged at the finish line?